Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special survival show. We're covering another look at fresh survival games. I showed this off a little while ago, bunch of new games that I think you should take a look at in the future that have got promise, and now we're going to go over some of the status of some of these. We're also checking out a couple new ones that I might have missed, and pretty much going over what I think is the next big hope for survival games that are a bit different, maybe probably coming out the most of them in 2022, although there are a few releases in the near future. So if you like pirates, Vikings, medieval warfare and dinosaurs, as well as a few spacemen, absolutely make sure you watch the whole video, leave a like if you want fresh survival news, and let's go. Just 3 weeks ago I sat down with Salt 2 developers and did a little interview talking about their brand new procedure generated exploration survival game. It is a pirating adventure and I'm happy to say they've hit their kick funding goal. Really pleased they met their kick funding goal, and now they've got some stretch goals where they're aiming to guarantee console ports. It was something they spoke about in an interview with me, but wasn't always obviously going to be guaranteed because it depends how much money they can get. But now they've hit their goal, they're trying to aim for that stretch goal. So go and check them out and see if you want to contribute hopefully to some console ports in the future. Think of a Sea of Thieves game, but actually open world survival. Lots of crafting, lots of unique weapons, loot, places of interest. But without the PvP at the start anyway. It's going to be a single player game, but they said that if they do well they would maybe like to add multiplayer further in development. One of Sea of Thieves' biggest criticisms is that it doesn't have proper PvE servers, and so I think this kind of game would appeal to a lot of players that aren't necessarily looking for the mayhem and chaos of an always multiplayer online game. I said it had the potential to be like Valheim, and I still stand by that. It has got procedurally generated huge world, so that offers that chance to explore and find something unique and different every time. But they do have some handcrafted points of interest, and they'll be sort of shuffled along depending on how and where you're exploring, and I think it really offers something different. You can customise your ship and you'll be looking for all sorts of different loot as you play. There's a real focus on finding unique weapons with different sorts of stats and buffs, and hopefully being able to craft and make all sorts of new items too. The devs have got experience working on obviously the first game of Salt, came out a good few years ago and was positively received, and they've also done some other projects too, all been positive. So yeah, I'm really hoping this makes it to console, so go and check out the Kickstarter and see if you want to support them going through their stretch goals. I've already put my pledge down and I can't wait to dip into the seas when this game arrives, hopefully maybe towards the end of the year. Now this next game I showed off the last time we took a look at some fresh survival games, and unfortunately it didn't meet its funding goal. It was a weird time to do it. It was in October or November when all sorts of big games are out, so not a lot of focus was on smaller games. Since then they've revamped graphics, they've changed a lot of sort of the presentation, and it looks fantastic. This is called Breakwater. It's so unique with the way that you have to manipulate the terrain, but particularly the ocean. You can either use the enemies that fire off these giant beams of light or energy at you, and you're going to have to take on these huge enemies, or you can craft items that will make the water go away so you can go and get extra loot. It is going to be a co-op game. You're going to be defeating these titans as you go around gathering crystals and refining them so that you can make the ocean part the way. It's really interesting. Loads of crafting items. You can build and customize your boat so you can get around and hopefully avoid the titans from attacking you, and it's just got a massive world filled with procedural islands and unique biomes. There's also day and weather coming into it, and who doesn't like taking on a few slimes? The water system seems really involved as well. You can be using it to power up your base. You can actually create pools of water that'll help some of your crafting items, or build walls to protect your base. So really cool idea. Love that they actually went back to do the Kickstarter because they've absolutely smashed it now. Just look how many people have backed it. They've made much more money than they originally planned for, and it's great to see. They're aiming for a Q2 release, and I'm going to be all over this when it does. You do have just a couple days left if you want to try and get an early backer pledge. I'm going to go and do it right now, and yeah, definitely check out Breakwater in the future. Water and the waves are not for you, then how about some deadly dinosaurs? This is Death Ground. Again, I showed this off, one of the first to cover it when they put their plans into place for a Kickstarter last year. It comes along really well. They've been giving updates to the community and they smashed their goal, but they've also got some further investment. They are going in partnership with a publisher. Now this is great news. It means they're going to flesh out the story more. There's going to be different game modes. Imagine Dead by Daylight but with dinosaurs. There's going to be different classes of character each with their unique abilities as you go around, hopefully trying to maybe hack certain doorways or use your character's abilities to get through and escape a level filled with deadly dinosaurs. Not just smaller raptors, but big ones like T-Rex too. Now, as I said, that investment meant they can flesh stuff out like the story, and they're hiring more developers now to flesh the game out. But of course that does mean it's going to be a bit of a delay. Deathground won't be coming out in 2021 like they originally planned. It will now be appearing, I'm presuming, in early access in 2022. It's made by Jaw Drop Games. You should go and check out their website. They've got experience making other games as well. So I fully expect this game to come out early 2022, and yeah, it's going to be pretty good. Obviously it's going to be on Steam as far as I'm aware, unless anything changes, and it's just really good news they've got a publishing partner to flesh out what was already a great idea. Sticking with our theme of dinosaurs, but a very different game, this one is The Wandering Village. If you've ever played Ark, you'll know all about building bases on top of your dinosaurs, or at least great big massive saddles that you can put a few little bits on. Well, imagine putting a whole town, a whole civilization on the back of your dinosaur. That's what The Wandering Village is all about. You'll set your villagers to gather resources as your dinosaur explores all sorts of new biomes and contends with natural events and the weather. It's still very early days, they hit their kick-funding goals for sure, absolutely smashed it, but I'm still not expecting much progress on this game until at least the end of the year. But it's a really interesting concept. They've been showing off a little bit more about the design documents and pretty much turning what was mostly a concept into a full-blown game. But yeah, I'm pretty confident this one eventually appearing in 2022. I promise we'll move on to something that isn't dinosaurs soon, but this next game is called Gona, and again it's another one that got fully funded. Now, we got a chance to talk to these guys and I was one of the first to show it off, and they completely blanked me when it came to showing off the actual gameplay demo. They gave Game Edge and a couple other YouTubers a chance to show it off, and it's just a real shame that they didn't even give me an opportunity to take a look at it. Hopefully I'm a backer, so I will get that chance soon. At the moment they've got a prototype version of it running. Gona is a survival game, maybe a bit more like Green Hell with a dinosaur threat rather than going around taming dinosaurs like Ark. You'll be running around solving puzzles as you try and escape or find clues to whatever reason you're in this wilderness. Now, originally the game was kind of set in a tropical landscape, but I think they've changed it to a more sort of North, sort of American or different type of sort of temperate biomes. I have checked out Game Edge video on it. You should absolutely go and do it. I'm not that salty. He is a great YouTuber and he's got some good footage of how this game is playing right now. So still a long way to go. They're still in just the prototype phase. Fingers crossed they can carry on making improvements, but the puzzle elements of it did look pretty decent and I can't wait to dive more into this one. Given the stage of the prototype and everything else, I still don't think we're going to see this game until the end of the year, possibly 2022 come out in early access. But for sure it's interesting, that concept of being really scared and afraid of dinosaurs instead of running around trying to tame them, and it's got all the crafting and survival elements you'd come to expect from games like Green Hell and The Forest. As it's already funded, the best you can do is go and join their Discord or give them a wish list on Steam if it's up there already. But lots of plans in terms of dinosaurs and stuff that's going to come through as well in the future. Moving on to Vikings now, Tribes of Midgard is probably the most, I would say, fleshed out and developed game out of the ones we've already seen. It's got a publisher behind it now, which is Gearbox Entertainment. They're going to be helping the developers bring this 10-player co-op game to release at some point in 2021. I was kind of hoping it'd be very early, but it does look like they've taken more time to polish, add more systems to it. It's basically a tower or horde defense game where you have to protect your village. Now, it's not boring putting just certain things around. It's an action RPG as well, so you will be roaming and exploring the lands, looking for items and resources to help upgrade your defences and protect them from the massive giants, as well as a whole host of smaller mobs and creatures. After the success of Valheim, I fully expect this to be the next big thing. It's got literally the same sort of mechanics in terms of the co-op, the 10-player action, Vikings theme settings, the crafting, but with that little bit of extra loot that maybe Valheim's missing. And while there's no direct base building in the game itself, I still think players will get a good kick out of upgrading their bases and their village and making sure they've got plenty of defences, and it does seem to be some rudimentary stuff that you can put down like campsites, etc. But fighting these massive giants is the order of the day, and yeah, I can't wait to dive into this one. Unlike so many of the other games, this is also coming to console, but Xbox fans look away now. It's only going to be appearing on the PlayStation 4 and 5. I did message them the other day on Twitter and they got back to me with no real big news about when they're going to have an announcement, but I'm really hoping it releases this summer rather than at some point during the end of the year. I think it would be really great if it can come out in the next few months. Sable is an exploration game set in a gorgeous hand-drawn environment. It's absolutely fantastic. I fell in love with this game when I first saw a trailer, maybe a good 2 years ago now, and it's taken that long to really get any news about release date. Still no direct release other than just saying it's going to be coming out in 2021. It is going to be an Xbox and does look likely to be maybe a Games Pass game as well. Or it certainly will be coming to the Xbox platforms as well as PC. It's absolutely unique. I've not seen an art style like this. It's reminiscent of a little bit of Star Wars and pod racing, but it is an exploration game with a big focus on puzzles rather than sort of combat and crafting. You'll be climbing all sorts of big ancient ruins as you take your hover speeder through the desert lands, and I guess just try and find whatever it is you're looking for. Not strictly survival of course, but yeah, I really like the look of this one, so I'm definitely going to be covering it when it releases at some point later on this year. Hot off the heels of my developer interview with the Renown devs, Renown is a medieval survival open world game. They want it to be a fun and furious paced game, a bit like Rust but in a medieval setting, and it's going to have all sorts of other components, siege warfare, as well as a huge world to explore. That's what they're promising, and hopefully they're going to deliver in the next 2 years. Very early days for the project, they're still pre-alpha, and they're going to be starting up their Kickstarter very soon, but I like the look of this one. They're going to start off with modules, build upon the combat, and then add each individual component to it, like having your forts or your settlements, how you'll be building them and utilising them in certain ways to craft and get yourself better weapons. PvP is the order of the day. They're really expecting this game to be a strong focus on that combat and taking what you want from other players' settlements or coming across a random player in the open world. As I pointed out, to be different, it really does need to focus on that open world survival game, as we've already got Mordau and Chivalry 2 on the horizon as well, but I think this game does definitely offer something a bit different, so make sure you check it out. Go and check out my dev interview with them. Wild Planet is a very early game. We probably won't even see this approach anywhere near an early access release until the end of maybe 2022, but you never know. It's been shopped around by its developers at lots of games festivals, and I've been keeping an eye on it. The London Games Festival recently had a proper look at it. A great little interview with developers talking all about what this open world survival game is. It's really unique, really different. The servers wipe after every 3 months, and during that time you can build up all sorts of things, build yourself bases as you fight off all sorts of aliens. When the world is wiped, you get a chance to save some of your resources or items in a special pod, and you can have a little bit of a start again. Full-blown survival mechanics, gathering ore, fighting creatures, worrying about food and water. Absolutely go and check out the interview out at that YouTube channel. It will be in the comment section down below. And yeah, definitely keep your eyes on this one. I really like the idea of it. The art style is pretty different, but it's a good way away just yet. Outpost Glacier had a big splurge of content creators cover the game last year when it was in prototype on the itch.io site, and it's a fantastic, by the seams of it, premise that you will be going around surviving with your crewmates or team in a very cold, harsh world. You're going to need heat to make sure you stay alive amid loads of snowstorms, as well as some wildlife. Imagine Satisfactory went and had a baby with Astroneer, and it's all in the cold, and you kind of get the idea what Outpost Glacier is. So really looking forward to this one. Now, as I said, they've gone a bit quieter. They've still been updating in the Discord, showing little clips of how development's going. They've been showing base building and all sorts, but definitely not as much as they were last year in the last few months. So I really hope they're still doing okay and that everything's coming together for them, but I definitely want to check this out in the future. 2 years ago, I was the first person to talk and show you guys what Towers was. It is a Studio Ghibli inspired art style survival game with a very different component. You will be playing on servers with other players, but the idea is to get a win condition by building up your settlements and protecting it from all sorts of horrible creatures that will periodically attack you. There seems to be taming elements in it, pets, using big huge creatures monster style to help you and aid you, and obviously still be a bit of a threat. When it came out, this prototype trailer, no one could believe this was actual gameplay, and that's what the devs said it was. It was proper actual gameplay showing some of the stuff that was going on. Since then, they did go pretty quiet, and they went quiet for so long, I did think the project was dead, but they've actually received proper funding for it, and they've been slowly breathing back to life in their Discord with lots of changes, got a brand new community manager, so I'm fully expecting to see some sort of reveal about Towers later on this year. A unique game for sure, unlike something I don't think we've ever seen, and if they can really pull it off, I'll be really interested to cover this in the future again. If you want more info about what they originally planned, go and check out my previous videos I've done on it. Obviously lots may have changed, but that is the status of Towers right now, slowly coming back to life. And there you go, that is just a reminder of some of the games that I've covered in the past, to give you an update of where they're at, and hopefully you'll be seeing these on my channel in the near future. You'll find links to all the Kickstarters or relevant pages in the comment section for all of these games, and thank you for watching. I'll see you rat bags later.